So in the previous lecture, we have seen how we can create a function. Now let's execute this function here. So when you execute this function, you will get the result of the maximum number, right? Now this looks good. Now let's open another Jupyter notebook and try to execute the same here. I'll copy this. I have another new Jupyter notebook open and I'll run this. Now you see this, it says maximum is not defined, right? So the same code is working here, but it's not working here. Why? So when you create a function, when you write some code or create a function, that piece of code is for the program that you are running it, so it cannot be used outside your program. So but there is a way that you can actually import the code. Remember, we have imported the date functions, and also, so what happened there is they have written a function called as date and they have put it in some file, and that file we have imported. So when we imported that file, all the functions within that file came into our code and then we were able to use it. So same thing, we are going to use it here. So that file is called as a module. So like we have imported the modules, now we are going to create our own modules. So what I'll do is I'll remove all these things. Now I will have to save this function, I'll have to save this code as a module. So what I'll do is I'll go here, I'll say download as python.py. So this is that file that we have downloaded. So I'll change it to, I'll rename this to greatest, right? You can go here and you can check this. I'll refresh that. You see here greatest.py is the Python extension. So you see this, right? So it has added a comment saying this the coding standards and other stuff. So this is the code that you have written. So what you have to do is, now that you have downloaded it, I mean you downloaded as .py Python file, you will have to import this. Okay, I'll go here, I will import it. Now you will have to import it without .py. So this is greatest.py, so I'll just import it as greatest. So now I'll use that module greatest dot the function with this greatest. So the function is maximum, so I'll use this. Now I'll execute this. See, now it has executed perfectly, so I'll print it. Oh, I have used capitals again, I don't know. Okay, so basically what I did is I have given small letter here, but then when I'm trying to access it, I used capital. So I'll use a small letter here, and here you go, 200. Isn't this very exciting? First we replicate whatever inbuilt functions that Python has, and now we have replicated the models, we created our own models. So this is really exciting. So, and it was very easy to implement as well. So this is how you will implement modules. Now we'll look at some important modules, like say for there are modules called as math. So if you want to do some math stuff, so you'll import the module called as math, and then you can use things like math dot, you want to see the sign, you want to know the sign of 60, sine 60, or you want to know the cos 60 value, or you want to know the pi value. So you just have to import that model. So this is very important, because if you want to use a functionality in a module, you'll have to import that. So you'll have to know some of the important modules that we use on a regular basis. Now, right, so if I do a dir of math, I'll know what all the functions that are available here, right? So somewhere here would be your sine value, yeah, your sine. Somewhere here you would be your cos value. So again, the magical command, I always call this as a magical command. So that was about math modules. I'll talk about another module. It's called as a random. So if you want to randomly print something, if you want to get a random value, so you use something called as the random module. So where is this useful? You might have observed in some website when you do a registration, it will randomly give you some code. So that is how this is generated. So it randomly picks up some number and gives you. So we'll see how this is developed, how this works. So I'll import the module called as random. So if I want to get a random number between 1 and 0, sorry, 0 and 1, so I'll put random dot random. So this will give me a random value between 0 and 1. So if I execute this again, I'll get another random number. So if I execute it again, I'll get another random number. Now if I want to print a random integer, I'll have to use rand int and I have to pass two arguments. So if I pass 5 comma 10, so it will give me a random number between 5 and 10, including 5 and including 10. So I got 6. I will execute this again. So you see the numbers keeps on changing. So sometimes you don't want to print the random numbers from here. Sometimes you want to print a random numbers, or let's say random words or something from a list that you already have. Let's say I have a list called as my list, and I'll put some random numbers and some words. I'll say 1 2 3, and I'll put like, so I have a list of values like 1 2 3, some apple, circle and football. If I want to get a random value out of this, right, so I'll first import this random module, and then I will say random dot choice. So random dot choice, I'll pass the list value, and there you go. So it will go through this list and it will randomly pick any value. So I'll execute it again and I get the value 1 again. So okay, now let me execute. This time it picked circle, so again it picks, so it really loves 1, I guess. This time it picks apple, this time it picks football. So it just randomly picks some value. So this is something that you could use as well. That's all that I wanted to cover in this session. So guys, keep practicing, keep rocking, and we'll see in the next lecture.